Fucking hell. Fuck off. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I don't care. I can see you two laughing in the background. It's Conor here, and we are back here with a brand new episode of One Leeds. We are back here with the debrief. Listen, we're out the relegation zone, which is fantastic. Leeds United have won again. I repeat, Leeds United have won again. You know, get the sirens in. We can't believe it. Get the alarms going. But yeah, won a game away from home, the second of the season. Liverpool and now Wolverhampton Wanderers, 4 goals scored. Incredible. And to say Wolverhampton Wanderers in recent weeks have beaten West Ham at home, they've beaten Spurs at home, and I think there was another big one as well. I don't know if it was Liverpool as well. I think it was Liverpool 3-0. It's been a really, really good weekend for Leeds United. Not many teams in and around us picking up wins as well. So really, really positive. I'm going to go into the comments now and probably get battered for me being on mute. Yes, again. Wolves have muted you. Yes, it's happened again. I just mute myself apparently all the time. But yeah, really appreciate loads of you guys in here right now. And without any further ado, I'm going to get my 2 co-hosts on the channel. Leeds United win the game, a limited edition. Leeds win the game. Fantastic. Brownie, Gabe, what are your thoughts on me muting myself for the second consecutive week?
Why hasn't VAR checked it for penalty? That's what I want to know.
It's corruption against Wolves.
It has to be. There's no other explanation for it.
Yeah. How are you doing? How you doing, Brownie? All right up there?
Yeah, good, mate. Really good. Yeah, really good. Life couldn't be better. 14th. Come on, you 14th Whites. How many points off 8th are we?
A fair few, I think, mate. A fair few. It was actually the first time I'd looked up, to be honest with you, and I nearly got a nosebleed, but I did look up and see Aston Villa, and it's the first time I've looked at that side of the table, and then I saw Villa and I was like, bloody hell, they are actually quite far ahead of, I think it's between 13th and is it 12th or 12th and 11th?
It's 12th, yeah.
There's a huge points difference, isn't there? But listen, we're not looking up there yet. We're involved in our battle, and we're just going to keep going with that. But yeah, we're going to get some of your comments in. Wolves fans or something, but yeah, we'll get onto that, I'm sure, in due course.
Drinking Wolves tears right now.
Yeah, that's it. We'll get onto that. And Brownie, we're going to get onto that in a bit, mate. Not straight away, in a bit, because I know you're going to be chomping at the bit with that one.
He is ready.
No, it's fine.
Don't worry, mate. We'll be getting into that one. But I've got a few notes prepared for that one. But evening, Conor. Hi, Michael. Hope you're all right, mate. And yeah, 500 in the room. Make sure you're slapping the like, everybody. Slap a like for Leeds United actually winning an away game. I'm going to keep saying that because I still can't believe it. Gabe, come to you first, mate. Not a bad weekend, eh?
Yeah, really good. There were a lot of things I liked about this match. I think the big thing is we've talked all season about the script has been, we've been the better side, and then we go a goal down, and it was sort of like the reverse of that. I thought that Wolves outplayed us virtually every category except for taking their chances, and we were ruthless. Our finishing was much better than it usually is, and there was a lot of attacking, a lot of guile and mental fortitude from our attacking players. I have to say, I've criticized them a lot, Jack Harrison in particular. But I thought he played really well in a game that was very difficult, that we didn't play particularly well on. And if we can get results like that away from home, again, we've talked for weeks. There are all these matches that people will say, oh, right, like, you know, we're not really meant to win this game. I think many in our fan base would have felt lucky with a point given the way we played. To see us come out with 3 in a match like that made me feel really optimistic. Dare I say, optimistic about us staying up. So I was very pleased. Yeah, you're muted again, Conor. What's going on with that?
Mate, just does it every single time I stop talking. Apparently, just mutes. It's I've got to be on the ball. I'm literally my screen's set up now. I'm reading all the comments, flashing them up, and I've got to unmute myself every single time. Brownie, do you want to chime in, mate?
All 4 goals coming from a wide position. Who'd have thought that, eh? Who'd have thought like hugging the touchline, getting the ball wide, and putting crosses in the box would accumulate in scoring goals?
I can tell you who wouldn't.
But, and this is the thing that's been pleasing to see with the quick change around. I mean, even before Grazia took over, the game at Old Trafford was pretty similar. When Scooby-Doo was in charge, just making the pitch bigger. It's made such a difference. And I think it's helped certain players as well. Jack Harrison being one of them. Obviously, he's had his up and down moments this year, but I mean, he's certainly chipping in with what's needed, and that's goals and assists at the minute over the last 2 games. Yeah, we can talk about his performances, but me, you, Gabe, and all the people in the comments, if he's chipping in with goals between now and the end of the season, I don't care what he performs like. To be honest, it's the business end of the season, and the results the most important part. And another thing, there was a game we didn't have Tyler Adams, and be interesting to see what people think about that, because it just showed that we have got a little bit of depth there when we need it. We've got players coming on, Rodrigo coming on, Stroik coming on, and it was pleasing to see a bit of depth on that bench.
Yeah, I think it was good to see as well. I don't think a lot of people have picked up on Sinistera not been involved, and that's another obviously massive player, top 2, top 3 player at Leeds.
Jorginho didn't even play. Didn't come on, and it is pleasing to see, and I think we're in a healthy position. Listen, our next game, it's probably the hardest game in the division at the minute, accumulated with Man City. But going into the international break, it's just nice to have a win under our belt, sub of that dotted line, and let other people panic for a bit.
I just can't believe I just can't believe the feeling though. Like, I don't know if you two have felt it, but I just had I had a decent weekend, but no, I had a good weekend. But
I saw the photos, Conor. You were not enjoying that. Poor guy, crouched over.
It was horrific. Like, it was basically my partner came round. I'll give you a bit of context, and I'm working at the time because City are playing a bit later on. But at this moment in time, Leeds are playing. I've just got them on in the background whilst I'm doing a bit of work, and I'm watching it. And bless her, she's never been exposed to it properly. Like, I've always just kept it under wraps. I've tried to keep it under wraps. She's there, and I'm like, something will go wrong with it. It's fine. We'll move on. We'll have a nice week. It's fine. And then it all came out at the weekend. It all came out, and she was looking at me as if she'd never seen anything quite like it. The words that were coming out of my mouth. I had a couple of knocks on the door from outside. It was once again the most stressful game known to man. And
nothing's ever easy.
Brownie, you know what she said to me at 3-0? She went, "That's it," and I went, "Don't say that." I went, "Don't say that." I went, because it never is that. It's too early. And then I said, do you know what? She turned around and she's saying 3-1. No, it's fine. And I went, "This is," and I start like saying it to her. I'm like, "No, this is your fault. It's 3-2. I told you.
You know, she didn't go home She didn't go home right away, did she? Because it sounds like it went all right.
Yeah, we're no longer together.
Yeah, that's it.
It's interesting because in the lead up to the game, we're saying we said it last week. It'd be boring if it wasn't nail biting all the way through, but we joked about having something comfortable. It'd be nice to have something comfortable, and there we are, sat 3-0 up, and we're all partying. At 3-2, my brother said to me, "I've got pins and needles." I like, everybody's emotions are all over the place.
Oh, yeah, and obviously, we'll get into the game, and God, it was a Leeds United. I mean, literally, what did we all think? You know, we were having jokes on the debrief last week, and we're like, "Oh, do you remember Wolves last season where it was 2 red cards? It was chaos. Wolves fans were kicking off at the referee. It was 5 goals. It was Wolves were battering us at periods in that game, and Leeds were able to get these little avenues to score." And I mean, it almost followed a very, very similar blueprint, but Molineux is just always madness, isn't it, Gabe? It's always the same thing. Every time we go there, it feels like.
Listen, I have to give our guy Brownie some credit. We sat here last week, and he was zen, and it tripped me out. I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, "Would you knock it off?" And he was like, seemed pretty confident going into the Wolves game.
Such a difference, mate. I've just seen such a difference at games, and
listen, I was at a fever pitch. I didn't know what to do. Like, the Leeds have been driving me crazy. Anybody watching, I've made like fake Jesse Marsh AI voices to try to like cheer myself up. It's been that bad. And Brownie was over here just chilling out, and he was right. He was absolutely right. And he's Brownie. What was the stat you showed about the last 4 matches that nobody's picked up more points? In the bottom half than Leeds United. And I data checked you on site. I was like, he can't be right. The man was correct. Credit where it's due.
7 points from 12 in that bottom 9 teams relegation battle. There's nobody taken more points. I think there's only Arsenal, Man City, and I think Villa who have taken 10. But we're sat on 7 points out of 4. And over the last 4 games, I know it's a small sample, but in the form table, we're 7th. And it's just, at the game, surrounding the game, the lead up to games, coming away from games, it's just felt better. It's just felt different. There seems to be a plan. I mean, we're using the whole pitch for a start, which helps. It's and don't get me wrong, that it wasn't great to watch at the weekend, but
no, it wasn't.
We're grinding results out, and 3-2 down with 17 minutes to go. 3-2 up, sorry. When they've got it back to 3-2, there's still a good 15, 17 minutes. That was a real test of character, massive test of character. Obviously, massively helped out with the red card because I feel like it could have been an onslaught for the remaining 10 minutes if it hadn't happened. But for you Wolves fans, just try keeping 11 on the pitch when you play us, and it might help you.
It's not even 10; it's 9 most of the time.
Yeah,
and
Conor, for me, that was the biggest piece of optimism for me in this match, because like under Jesse, we had in order to win a match, we had to like blow the other team out of the water, like the Chelsea match, right? We had to be by far the better side. The Bournemouth match, like we let in stupid goals, but we were still the better side in that match. This one, we were not the better side. We were playing in a hostile ground away from home, and we still scrapped out a result. That's why, because we're going to play better.
It seemed loud as well. It seemed really, really loud.
We're going to play better than we played on Saturday in other matches. Our midfield wasn't good. Rocca had one of the statistically worst games in a while for us.
But still got an assist.
Still got an assist. Yeah, also narrow leading to a goal. But the point being, like, we're not going to play that poorly week in, week out. We're going to have better games than that. The fact that we got a result, a win away from home, makes me feel really positive.
What was the error leading to a goal again?
What?
Rockers.
A vacant pass in our own area.
Johnny,
wonder goal, but
are we saying that's a Rocker error? Okay, fair enough. I think that's a wonder goal, but yeah. Sorry, I was a bit confused. Then I was looking at the goal. Listen, they're all going to come at me in the comments, so let's say yeah. Okay, fair enough. It is Rocker.
I think a few people could get the finger. I mean, I think Melia. I don't think he needs to come out like Superman. I'm not.
No idea.
Some of the saves he made in that game were top notch, and the one he made. He made a point blank one, which was unbelievable. I think he can let that come into his box. But when he's dealt with it, I think Rocker can put it anywhere. He can put it in the car park next to a burger. He can put it anywhere rather than on. But it's an unbelievable finish. He's still got a lot to do, as Johnny. But yeah, I think we started the game unbelievably well. I really do. I think we came out flying out the traps. I thought we were getting the ball to Nonto as much as we could, and obviously it eventually created the goal. But then I think we were really under the cosh, and it did feel like at the time wave after wave after wave of attack from Wolves for a period of time. But what I did like to see is we were throwing bodies on the line, getting in front of shots, blocking everything. And I mean, Woba is quickly becoming
fantastic,
very important
what
player.
A match. Yeah. Also, Brownie, I don't know if you felt the same or what it felt like watching at the ground. This is kind of a theme in Gracia's tactical choices, is that we're quite happy to absorb pressure under a set of circumstances. Like, even though Wolves had a lot of the ball, there were only certain periods of the match, and they're a Premier League side. Premier League sides are going to get chances, right? It's going to happen. There were only certain periods of the match where I thought Wolves looked particularly threatening. There was this one period where I was like, I don't know how they haven't scored there. Melia made an incredible save, but there weren't long stretches of the match where we were really under it, where they were just peppering shots on target at all. It seems like this is a really smart way to deploy and play towards our team's strengths. How did it feel on like actually watching it on the ground?
I think it did feel like we were under the cosh a little bit in that first half. I think like they had some good chances, but when maybe obviously emotions in the game, when it went 3-2, Traore seemed to be having the freedom of Molyneux. I thought Firpo was going to have nightmares about him at one point because he just kept getting the ball and running. And listen,
I think that'd have been different if he wasn't on a yellow card, to be honest.
Yeah, of course. But then I don't know. I think the substitution raised a few eyebrows when it was happening. I thought that was early doors, the Nonto for Christensen substitution. But then he scores 23 seconds later, and then you think, wow, what a master plan. But I think I've got to be fair. I think if Jesse Marsh should have been taken off Nonto for Christensen on an hour mark, I think I'd be calling it out a little bit. So I think I've got to do the same. I think it did allow them into that. It just seemed
and also Brownie, I thought the Bamford substitution. Listen, Rodrigo scored at the end, but up until that point, I thought it was very, very poor, very rusty and sluggish. Like we've spoken about on the debrief before, where we've said that he takes a while to get into things, and I thought Bamford's hold-up play was pretty decent, to be honest. In the
Conor, I disagree about the Bamford hold-up play. I watched the match twice because I've been really harsh on Luke Ayling, Jack, and Bamford. I'll talk about Luke Ayling in a minute because I'm going to absolve him from some of the guilt I'm throwing at him with some of these poor giveaways. But with Bamford, 5 different times in the match did he go down looking. I mean, we pile on Aronson, and rightfully so for doing this. But 5 times he was engaged in a 1-to-1 physical battle where he just went down looking for a call and didn't get it. And a lot of times his hold-up play was very, very sloppy. I get what you're saying in terms of he gives you, at least is engaging in that way, that Rodrigo doesn't. But most of the time it didn't come off. And if we're not going to give effort awards to other players, we probably shouldn't give it to Bamford.
But for me, in that situation, when Leeds the pressure is on and we are getting absolutely piled on, we need an out ball. There needs to be an outlet. And Leeds were going direct for about 20 minutes to alleviate that pressure. And it was just coming back. It was continuously coming back. And I feel, at least with Bamford up there, he's going to be challenging. Dawson wasn't on the pitch.
The third goal came from the throw-in, Bamford holding it up and laying it off.
Yeah, he did. And just on top of that as well, Dawson should have seen red immediately after he got his yellow card on Harrison, which we'll get into, for me, for pretty much dragging Bamford down. That's another yellow card, so it could have been a very different game state.
It's an interesting one with Bamford because I have noticed it a lot more recently, and it'd be interesting to see what people think, but last season, there were so many times when Bamford could have gone down. Southampton away, he got round, keeper clipped him, tried to stay on his feet, got nothing.
Yeah.
Arsenal, he was round, he was in on goal, and I think it was Gabriel pulled him back, and he's tried to stay on his feet, and he's got nothing. So I have noticed he's gone down a lot more. But if you're not getting anything staying on your feet, it is encouraging players to go to ground. So listen, I don't know if it's something that's playing in his mind where he's staying up on his feet and getting nothing. So I am going to go to ground more. I don't know, but it is noticeable of more recent that he has gone to ground a lot more.
Yeah, I think Joseph just said it. Joseph just said it. Do you think Rodrigo is fit? Gracia will go to up front. I don't know, Joseph. I mean, it's an option for him, mate. It's an option. Now he's got 2 fit, and hopefully they can stay fit. Sorry, Gabe, what are you going to say?
No, I was just kind of the last point I wanted to make that I think you're. I don't want to dismiss like the logic of what you're saying, Conor. Like it's important to be in those battles, right? And to engage. It keeps the defense honest. As a former center half, like if I don't have a forward battling with me, that's one less thing I have to worry about. And with Rodrigo, sometimes I think he's more dynamic in his movement, but his movement is he doesn't engage in some of the areas where you need to tie defenders up, and that's valid. That said, when it doesn't come off most of the time, like I wonder about the merits of it versus a guy like Brownie was just saying about Jack. Are we okay with? I mean, Rodrigo's our only goal scorer in double digits. And I'm like, okay, well, if he plays a crap match and knocks a goal or 2 in, I think I'm going to be happy with that. Versus with Bamford, with the exception of last week, scored a cracker of a goal. I just haven't seen enough of that for me to acquit. I feel like sometimes we've talked about this in terms of Tyler Adams as well. We'll sort of paper over whether or not it comes off because we see a particular type of effort on the pitch. I think that sometimes we reward certain things and punish certain things. I don't know. For me, if Rodrigo's fit and in form, I'm going with Rodrigo over Bamford if we're going to play single number 9.
Yeah, it's interesting. If he'd probably have to come in for, I mean, Aronson again, he could have had himself an assist or 2. It's just that final ball again from him. I don't know what other people think, but don't get me wrong. I don't think he had a bad game, but it's just that final pass. Could Rodrigo do that? I'm not sure. Will it disrupt the balance?
Who's that? Who's that? Sorry, Brownie. Who did you say? Sorry?
Aronson.
Oh, it's the same. For me, I don't know how his game's going to be elevated. I really don't. I don't want to focus on negatives for this one, but there's a lot of people I see on social media saying, as soon as he gets in the gym, it's all going to change. And I think it's about decision making a lot of the time. I don't think. Listen, the physicality is a problem because he seems to be always on his bum. But when he's not on his bum as well, and he's got a clear, pass a channel, something a 5-yard area where he can just play the ball simply, I think he really, really struggles. And that's been evident throughout the season. Hopefully he improves next season, but I don't see how Aronson But then again, I didn't see how Firpo was able to fit back in, but I really struggle with Aronson to see because it seems to be the same things reoccurring every single match with him.
This season, you're probably right, Connor. However, I mean, again, we're going to be doing that thing where we say what ifs. He did have a good. He finally played the right ball to Bamford. Unfortunately, Bamford, it's not his fault, but he slipped, and then Harrison couldn't finish. That's an assist he should probably have, right? So it's one of those things where, regardless, the result is the same. I think in this season, it's going to be. You're right. I don't see him elevating his play this season, but he's just 22 this year. It's hard for me to say an off season and coming in with a manager, staying with them the whole year, playing a real coherent, sensible style of football. Who knows what we'll get from him next year? But you're right. I think this season, it's fair to say we're probably not going to see a revolution from Brendan Aronson between now and the end of the year.
Kieran's right as well.
Yeah.
He needs coaching. If he's able, listen, I hope you're right, Kieran. But it's not me not giving Aronson a chance because I've been the first on here to defend Aronson. I just don't see. It's if he's playing in a central attacking midfield role, he's never going to be a winger for Leeds United ever. Because we've got too many good options out there for me. So he's going to be a central attacking midfielder. I just don't see, I see too many deficiencies in his final ball, in that final third, that final decision. I just see, so for me, you're in that game state, and I know people hate that term, but you're in that game state and the pressure's on a little bit to make the right pass. Aronson, for me, 90 to 95% of the time makes the wrong decision. So I don't know how you coach that. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm not giving him a chance. I'm just saying I don't know how you get to that next stage for Brendan Aronson, even though he is only 21 years of age.
I think, and I've seen it a little bit with Harrison, us playing wider, spreading the pitch more, has given him a little bit more space to work in. It's not as congested in there. So I'm hoping that between now and the end of the season and going into next season, that having more time and space does allow him to pick the right pass more. Because he sees the pass. He is seeing that pass.
Yeah, he does see the pass.
See it. It's just executing it. So I'm just thinking, I don't know. We say Jack Harrison's a confidence player. Does he need a couple of good games and then he's into his groove? Who knows? But it is the first year. He is young. So I'm not writing him off just yet. But that final pass, I mean, we scored 4 and here we are talking about final passes. It could have been more, and that's a bizarre thing to say when Wolves had a lot of the ball and a lot of chances themselves. I think that just echoes how crazy the game was. It could have been 6-4, it could have been 7-5. It really was a game like that. But listen, to get the 3 points was the main thing, and Harrison, Aronson, whoever, they couldn't play like they want if they're going to score 4 each week.
Should we get into the goals then? So obviously Leeds started the game, and like Brownie said, by far the better team in the first. I don't know if I can say 10 minutes because obviously Wolves had the decision within about 8 minutes, which I guess doesn't reflect the whole 10 minutes. Leeds were overall the better team. So yeah, I'm probably, being a bit hypocritical there, but yeah, Leeds for me had the first 10, and a lot of possession going down the Nonto side, he was on the left hand side, wasn't he? I'm not going nuts. He's on the left hand side, and a couple of times he was trying to get in, blocked off quite well by Dawson and Semedo, but then obviously eventually gets in there, quick turn of pace, and that's what you get with Nonto, isn't it? And a real quality end product. And do you know what? A quality goal, a really, really good goal. Nonto getting to the byline, swinging it back in, fizzing it back in, and then there's Jack Harrison with a great finish. It has to be said, and the perfect start for Leeds United, really.
Yeah, it reminded me of the previous week with Matoma and Ayling. That quick turn of pace from Nonto just to get past his fullback, and it was a clear plan. That first 5-6 minutes, because it went out to Nonto before we even scored, and it got played into the box and the shot got blocked. But it was a great ball out by Koch. It was nice to see diagonal balls again. That's something that I've missed this year, just spreading play. But yeah, we came out the traps, and I think we've done that all season as well, to be fair. It's not just a Grazia thing. I think we have started fast in a lot of games, but it's been noticeable over the last month or so, even before Grazia came in. And Man United, we scored after a minute, then we scored in the second half straight away. So it has been noticeable that we are starting games really quickly, and it was no different at the weekend. But I think you're right. As soon as we did score that goal, it was like, we've got the lead, now what do we do? And we kind of retreated, and then it was a bit of an onslaught, if we were fair, for a while.
Yeah. So what I noticed most about that first goal is 3 different times they got it wide to Nyanto, and he sent crosses in 3 times in a row. Love the persistence. Love that he remained dangerous. And I love the commitment. So I don't know, utilizing your attacking players in wide areas and sending a dangerous cross in. I think what I also liked is we didn't start off in this high press where we were dispossessing them way up the pitch and then trying to turn in a chaotic transitional moment into a attempt on goal. I sound like Jesse. We didn't do that, right? What we did was we sat in a mid to low block, waited till we got the ball and sprung out wide and moved quickly. I thought Jack Harrison, I know he got kicked a lot, and maybe he didn't have a super impactful game outside of the goal in terms of he wasn't very present in a lot of attacking areas a lot. But what he did do when he had opportunities, he made quick decisions, right? And he was decisive in terms of his conviction. Like when he had an opportunity, he just smashed it. He didn't try to play cutely. He smashed it towards the goal and it went in. I think he was unfortunate.
We've been asking him to do. We've said it on the show before. We seem to. We were getting to a point where we were trying to walk the ball into the goal, and I mean, in the last couple of weeks, we've seen 2 goals against Brighton from outside the box, 4 at the weekend. I'm not saying they're all outside the box, but we seem to be having a go more. I mean, 6 goals in 2 games. Go back a couple of weeks, Conor and Gabe, on this show, we were saying we'd scored 1 in 5, and now all of a sudden we're shooting, we're taking chances, and they're going in. So that's another noticeable thing that I've noticed, that we are shooting more. We're not trying to walk it in.
Right. And the manager, I think, has made just some simple changes, right? Like we've talked about this team's ability to pass at a high completion rate, right? We've talked about it all season. Not necessarily our forte. However, as opposed to trying to get the ball in these very tight, congested areas where you have to play inch perfect passes, what they've done is set up a structure that we're hard to play against. One of the notes I made, especially the second watch in, we can look at the midfield stats and say, okay, our midfield wasn't very good. And on the ball, we weren't particularly good. However, it's very difficult to play through Rocca and McKennie, or Rocca and Adams, or McKennie and Adams. That midfield makes it very difficult. Now, so we could just talk about that being a pace merchant thing, but Rocca's not particularly quick. It takes a lot of off-ball intelligence to get your positioning right. And it seems a deliberate choice from the manager that we want to dispossess them in a certain way. And then we have a lot of pitch open up for us on the counter to create imbalances, right? And so that for me is a simple adjustment where it's not all gangbusters going forward, trying to get the ball in the attacking third for, ping pong and then an attempt on goal. It's methodical, it's controlled. A lot of it is based on like keeping the opposition in a controlled area where they're predictable. And I think it's paid off. I think it really utilizes the strength of these players and plays away from their weaknesses, which is, again, that kind of inch perfect, perfectly weighted pass all the time. I don't think we have a lot of players that can do that. So for me, I've been really impressed within a short period of time how he's able to sum up our players and formulate easy game plans that can grind out results that are. Jesse would have lost that match. Let's be clear. I truly believe that. So I have to give the manager a lot of credit to win a match like that. It's a big deal for us in a relegation battle where we're not out of clear. I mean, season's still on the edge of a knife. That it's packed in. It's now 4 points between relegation zone and 12th. I mean, that's kind of unprecedented. So yeah, Brownie's internet has been a revelation today. 2
things we're happy about: Leeds win and Brownie's internet.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, no, 100%. And obviously Leeds 2, then 3-0. Good ball in by Mark Rocca from a corner, which was quite nice. And Ayling anticipated really, really well, and he had to score. And obviously put it in the back of the net. Nice downward header. Head the ball down, as you get taught when you're young in those attacks.
He did take his eye off it, though. Did you notice that? He just put his crown down, and I was like, Ayling!
But on that, for me, again, it's another noticeable change. I mean, Jay made a good point for the first goal. There were like 5 or 6 bodies in the box. Since Grazia's come in, we've had 3 fullbacks score goals. Firpo, Christensen, Ayling. 6 months ago, the fullbacks wouldn't even have been over the halfway line.
Nope.
And that was one thing that I noticed at the start of the season. We weren't committing bodies forward. The fullbacks were getting to the halfway line and stopping. And just in 4 games, 3 fullbacks scoring. Christensen wouldn't have been in that box 6 months ago for that 3rd goal. No chance.
No.
Firpo wouldn't have been that high up for the goal against Southampton. So it's little tweaks that have made massive differences, to be honest. of course you're going to score more goals if you have more shots and more bodies in the box.
And Brownie, I will say as well, you know, a little bit of a variation from corners as well. I'll hark you back to, I think it was Aronson rolling the ball to Rocker, who put a good ball in the first half, and McKennie pretty much cleared off the line. Let's be honest, you know, that's going in. That is going in. So nice variation there on set pieces. And listen, we know in the second half, Rocker smashed one over the bar, but aside from that, it was quite nice from corners to actually have success and a bit of variation.
Conor, the manager, did something too with McKennie that twice on different set pieces that I thought was really, really smart. I know he hasn't scored one yet, but again, teams will have scouted and know that he's a big guy and he can score in the air. 2 times, I'm not sure if it's Gracias who's actually drawing it up, but whoever's doing set pieces for Leeds, it could be him, is sending in near post. And that the one Ailing goal, it drew 2 or 3 defenders up around him, and Ailing just wide open in the back post. It's amazing that when we have a manager who's like,
how dare the referee allow Luke Ayling all that time?
Oh, I know.
Not yet, Brownie, not yet.
How dare we allow Luke Ayling all that time at Molineux?
Not yet. We're not allowed yet. Listen, we're going to get into it, but we're going to get into that.
Chomping at the bit. But anyway, just another compliment to the manager. I think he's a really smart guy.
I think you make a good point though, Conor. For the next 2 weeks, I want to see free kick practice every day, because the amount of free kicks we get around the box, and we just balloon them over the bar constantly.
We said it last week, didn't we? What Everton are doing at this moment in time, which we've got to give them credit for, is they're making use of set pieces, especially at Goodison, because that's their advantage. That's what Dyche is going to be able to get out of the big team on set pieces. They're using that to their advantage. So let's be right. Everton aren't going to get out of this scrap by beautiful open play football. It's going to be by winning set pieces and scoring at set pieces. So Leeds aren't that sort of team, but still, if we're able to notch a few goals on those on that list and from set pieces, that's going to be massively advantageous. We said it last week. If it goes in off Verba's arse, if it goes in off Cox's knee, it doesn't matter. It just as long as they go in the back of the net at the minute.
I think you're right. I think you've got to play to your strengths and win games with how you're good at it. And I think over the last couple of games, we've sort of like resorted to the old "we'll score more goals than you" approach, and that's nearly paid off against Brighton. Got 4 at Wolves. I don't mind it. At least it's been exciting. We've actually been having a go at teams. We scored 2 at Old Trafford. Do you know what I mean? We've actually been having a go and getting after teams.
I do remember seeing this, Alfie. I do remember seeing this and thinking when he hit that free kick, I thought, oh my god, a few expletives went out my mouth when he did that. But overall, it was a good day for Leeds. But yeah, obviously Rasmus coming on and yeah, incredible game on it. I'm thinking, there's so many Leeds fans who would come in here afterwards and they'll have said something like, yeah, I was really happy at the Rasmus substitution at that moment in time. But let's bring you back to how poor it's been for Rasmus this season. And Nonto coming off it visibly as well. Nonto didn't look too happy at being brought off, I thought.
He's never been happy when he's got subbed off. And to be one of the reasons I like him, he's a passionate kid and he thinks he should be playing every single minute. And great. I don't think a manager wants a player who's quite happy to come off, so none of it's been petulant for me. None of it's been disruptive. So, it's for me, it's just, he wants to be on the pitch. I thought it was a good substitution. I mean, look, I know that we did end up conceding 2, but when you're away in a difficult ground to play and you're up 3-0, a lot of stuff could have happened. Yanto's got fouled more than any other player in the match. Who knows? It's easy. He quite easily could have kept him on. We could have conceded 2. We would say, well, why didn't you make substitutions faster? So I think that, all's well that ends well for me. I thought they were good subs. Rasmus actually scored a goal, which was what a touch as well. I was like, what? Who is that?
Great finish. It's a great finish.
Yeah,
really good. I mean, I've absolutely, and we'll get on to Johnny in a bit, but I've absolutely no idea what Johnny Otto is doing in his box there. It's absolutely bizarre, but I thought it was great because obviously Harrison played the ball in. A bit of an aimless ball, but you put it in the mixer for someone to go and attack it, and I thought it was great to see, as Brownie has alluded to, under Marsh, and we have to use Marsh as a bit of a yardstick really, because that's when Rasmus was featuring a lot. Yeah. It was great to see, as you saw Harrison play the ball in, and on the highlights, you were just watching Rasmus steam into the box, and Leeds, like you said, Gabe, 3-0 up at that 2-0 up at that moment in time. preserve the lead, whatever. And for him to do that and to win the tackle, and it's a brilliant finish through Jose Sarr's legs. And hopefully that's going to give him a shot in the arm when it comes to confidence. Yeah,
definitely.
Brownie,
I mean, we've seen an improvement with Firpo on the left hand side in recent weeks. He's been getting forward more, which I think's helped him. We saw a little bit of that at Accrington, to be fair, when Jesse Marsh was in charge. When he gets forward, he is actually quite useful in attacking areas. So if we see the same with Christensen on the other side, which we saw a little glimpse of that at Wolves with him getting his goal, it's only going to help him, isn't it? So
yeah.
I just think releasing your fullbacks over the halfway line. I mean, I think back a few years, and when Liverpool got all them points, it was Trent and Robertson chipping in with so many assists and goals. So to not use that as a weapon, getting your fullbacks forward, I think's a mistake. But obviously, there's loads of different ways to play football. But as for Christensen, the goal should give him a load of confidence, and hopefully we see an upturn in form with him, like we've seen with Firpo, because I think Firpo has been solid of recent.
Yeah,
he's took his black, he's took stick from me included. Everyone really has given Firpo some stick at some point. But over the last 4 or 5 weeks, I think we're starting to see a good left back.
It's been the biggest turnaround I've seen in a long time at Leeds.
I think we have to give a lot of credit to. I'm sorry, Connor.
No, it's all right, mate. No, it's fine. Like I was literally just going to say, like I've not seen a turn. Like I was literally, and I'm not having that. The 95% of Leeds fans weren't in this.
They were.
We need the left back in January, and the reason we need the left back was to replace Firpo, was to get Strauch out of that left back position. Short-term memories. But what he's done right now is, I think that was his 6th game on the bounce, and I don't think he's done that for Leeds yet, which is great. And I think he's been immense. I think he's been very, very, very good.
Jesse tried to tell us he's the best passer he's ever seen. No, no, listen. So there's a correlation, right, between our defense improving and Junior Firpo's play improving, and that's Max Vober coming into the team. I got to say, I think the only weakness in his game, I guess we could say, is that some of his progressive passing isn't great. Don't care. For me, he's taken a left side of the defense of that center back position. He's played so well. The way he's organized that defense, I honestly think that Firpo's benefited from playing next to him immensely.
He looks happier, Gabe, doesn't he? He looks happier.
He does. I also think the system change has done him a lot of good as well. Look, I mean, we've talked about this a lot. We do have some error-prone players. We continue to, right?
Yeah.
But the big difference is now I don't think when you play a panicked way, there are some people, I guess, who come into their own in a panic state. I wouldn't recommend it. Let's ratchet everything up to 11 and expect you to think with a clear head. And I think that Junior Firpo, when things are a little bit more relaxed, maybe we're not all pressed up in the attacking third trying to win the ball back. Maybe there's a little bit less space in behind, so you're not worried about getting done by some of the speediest and most crafty players in the world in the Premiership. Retaining the ball in possession becomes a simple matter of patterns of play, as opposed to hoof it forward and hope that somebody can get onto it, or ping a pass centrally and hope that somebody wins the second ball. You know what I mean? I think it's a lot more comfortable to playing the style of play that Firpo has played other than under Jesse Marsh. And I think that, we're seeing that there's a player there. Do I think that he's turned up trees at the position, like in terms of being one of the best left backs in the Premier League? No, not necessarily, but he's been solid and he's contributed offensively. And I think that, it's not a danger position for us right now, which I'm delighted about.
I think it's a combination of, I agree, Gabe. I think the Wober-Koch partnership, obviously it's damning on Cooper, but we've seen an improvement when them two have gone in both fullbacks, and the change of system as well, I think, has helped both fullbacks. So there's more ball getting played out. I mean, all the ball was centrally, wasn't it? So the fullbacks weren't really used.
Mm.
The fullbacks were pretty ineffective because they weren't used. And then when they did get the ball, there was nobody on the wings to pass it to. They were having to pass it into a whole host of bodies inside. So imagine if everybody imagined themselves at left back or right back, getting the ball, and there's nobody on your wing to pass it to. Who are you giving the ball to? And I think I don't think it's a coincidence that both fullbacks in the first half of the season struggled. It can't be a coincidence.
No, I think you're right, Brownie. Also, again, I kind of alluded to this earlier. So I've been really critical of Luke Ayling's play on the ball. I've eviscerated him on this channel. I went back and watched the match twice, which I think I've mentioned twice now. And mainly because I wrote down every time Luke Ayling lost the ball in possession in our own half unaccosted. And I wanted to investigate. So something was happening in this match. I'm going to go and watch our previous too. Robin Koch's playing him out wide on a restart. And time again, Luke Ayling hasn't had an outlet forward that he's liked, and he's played a ball that's gotten dispossessed. There were a number of times when, after that happened, a couple of the players, it was Rocca and McKennie mainly, were giving Koch an earful for playing that pass out. Additionally, the same players and Patrick Bamford gave Koch an earful for playing long balls over the top instead of playing in the midfielders. So I think that this is not me having this massive go at Robin Koch. I think it's, as a center half, his first obligation is to defend it. I think he's defended pretty well. But on the ball play, I think in terms of how they want to build from the back and how they want to play forward, I think that there's a disconnect between the play of Vober and the play of Robin Koch. And I think a lot of what Luke Ayling's suffering from is Robin Koch making decisions that put him under pressure, even if he doesn't seem to have a man marking right away. I'm telling you, there were 2, 3, or 4 different instances where I saw McKennie and Mark Rocca remonstrate really passionately back to Robin Koch as if he was doing the wrong thing in terms of playing a ball forward. It didn't always go, so it's something to keep an eye on. I've kind of wondered about, because Ayling over and over and over, we've just seen the same thing, right? The ball goes to the right center back. The center back plays it over to Ayling. He looks up, looks down, plays the ball, and either gets dispossessed and turns into an attacking motion, or he just plays the ball to nowhere. There's a reason for it, right? So interesting to look at. Anyway, all this to say is that I maybe feel like something more is happening with poor Luke. I'm like, why don't we just build from the left?
We do need him here next year as well, because who else is going to do a cartwheel at Molyneux next year?
It's not even a cartwheel, is it? It's a half roll.
But I've seen comments about we're still conceding goals, and I do agree. But when you actually dissect the goals we've conceded, I mean, the one at Chelsea, set piece, ran off McKennie, which is interesting because I think if you watch Wolves' second goal, Tuna, he also runs off McKennie for that as well, which is something that I'm a little bit concerned of on set pieces. McKennie keeps losing his man. The first goal, people will chuck it at Melier, people will chuck it at Rocca, and then people will say, what a finish. Not a lot you can really do about someone scoring on the volley from 40 yards.
Right.
And the second Wolves goal, like I say, is run off a midfielder. I think it was a ball in from a corner or a free kick. And it's a deflected goal. So the goals we are conceding, I agree. We are still conceding goals, but
it's the chances too, Brown. It's not just the goals that go in. Ayling has gotten out of jail a lot of times where he'll lose the ball in a really bad area and it just won't come off for whatever reason it is.
There's that Pedence one, wasn't there, where he robbed him in the first half?
Yeah.
So
which is going to happen if we're playing this, going back to this more expansive type of football. We are going to give up chances, but I don't know. What do people want to see? Do they want to see us score 4 goals, or do they want to see us settle for 1-0s and be defensive and just stick?
I think what I'd rather see is Robin Koch play what Max Vober does. It's progress the ball a little bit and then play it to a central midfielder when they're sprung free, instead of forcing a ball to a right back who's not super comfortable off the ball.
Another good comment that I've seen was it's probably the first time in 2 years where the back four has been the same for a good stable amount of weeks. And this maybe then moves us on to the midfield too. We are giving a lot of chances up. I agree. Does that come into the midfield too in front of them? Is that their job to stop players running through as freely, or are we just slowly looking at the back four?
For me, their best player at the weekend and their biggest mistake was taking Neves off. When Neves went off, I thought that their play dissipated a lot, to be honest. I thought he was running the midfield, to be honest, in that game. So, yeah, I think selection-wise from Lopetegui, he got that wrong. But I think overall the balance is definitely lost with Adams not being there. But
to be fair to Lopetegui, though, it was the ref who made that sub. So.
Yeah, it was. But I also thought, further to your point, Gabe, when you're talking about Ayling, I think that is once again the advantage of, because he did lose the ball a couple of times. Well, more than a couple of times. I agree with what you're saying. I think maybe that's the advantage of maybe having Bamford up there to be able to hit him. Last resort, just hit Bamford and see what happens. Win the second balls. If Bamford can contest with Dawson like he was doing in the first half, great. I think I agree with you though. there needs to be a midfielder showing for the ball there.
But this is my point. If you go back and watch the tape, there is, and he's not playing him. Vober plays him, and Koch isn't. And I'm not having a huge go at Robin Koch. I think he's been good, right? So it's just sort of being nitpicky. But one of the biggest themes I saw in both halves was Bamford had to go, the two central midfielders had to go, and then ultimately Ayling had to go at Robin Koch for playing balls that put players in positions where they couldn't succeed with it. Instead of just playing a shorter ball into midfield when the pass is on, just do it.
That's gonna, and that highlights more when a defender does it, because we've mentioned Aronson, Harrison, Sinister, whoever gives the ball away up top. It's annoying, but when a defender gives it away, it's highlighted a lot more because it's closer to our goal. Right. But at the minute, I'll be honest, guys, I couldn't care if we gave the ball away every time as long as we were getting 3 points.
Same.
The camp I'm in at the minute is get them points no matter what. Yeah. Get to end the season, stay up, and for the love of God, not be in this situation again next year.
Yeah,
and I think the players making mistakes as well. I don't think that's changed massively, but the good thing is there's a structure there now where they make the mistakes, but there's a structure there in place where the mistakes aren't always going to completely kill the game. But okay, it is time to get on to Ref Watch. So Salisbury was in charge at the weekend. I'm just going to go off on a little bit of a spiel right now. Just give me about 30 seconds to a minute, if you will, lads.
Go on.
Okay, so I found, and I want everybody's comments, and there might be Wolves fans here, it might just be Leeds fans, it might be general football fans, but if you are a general football fan, I heart you to watch the highlights of this game. The Wolves' reaction to this it could be the most staggering football reaction I've seen online this season. Listen, this happens in football. It naturally happens in football. Every team thinks that they're the worst off. The referees giving decisions against them. VAR's not pulled up for certain things. Happens continuously. And it's happened to Leeds throughout the entire season. We can heart you to Spurs, where Melié's bundled in the net. Aston Villa, Arsenal, we should have had a penalty. And Wolves, believe it or not, at the start of the season when Jose Sarr punched Christensen and it should have been a penalty. Now, listen, there are multiple decisions for me in that game where Salisbury could have pulled up and given Leeds, certain decisions that we didn't get. Bamford, there was a shirt pull in the box in the first half, which if Bamford goes down, he was remonstrating with the referee afterwards and saying he was pulling my shirt. That is a penalty, wasn't given. Dawson, for me, should have been sent off for the first tackle on Harrison, which was absolutely disgraceful, right the way down Harrison's shin bone, which left him on the floor in bits and require him to have stitches at half time. So there's a red card there. The one in the second half, where initially it was a yellow card, that is a straight red. I know VAR came back and we got a red card overall for that, but there's different differences there, of course. But for me, the Firpo tackle, I've not seen one angle that conclusively tells me that that's a penalty at all. I don't think that's conclusively a penalty. And do you know what? Semedo goes, I don't know if anybody caught this as well, but he's holding the top of his leg. So apparently he's been battered on his shin. It's a penalty. He's rolling around holding the top of his leg. Staggering. So Wolves fans are also saying, and this is contextualizing the whole pie here, that apparently that there's been decisions against them all the time. There's corruption against Wolves. I mean, points with VAR this season, 27. Without VAR this season, 27. Leeds United points with VAR this season. Prior to the weekend, this was, I should say that, was 23. Without VAR, should be 28. Okay, so there doesn't seem to be any sort of, problem against Wolves here from a VAR standpoint. And some of the stuff from journalists who we all know who we're talking about here, objective journalists who work on the Wolves side, saying there's an unconscious bias against Wolves. Now, for me, this has confirmation bias written all over it. And if you don't know what confirmation bias is, go and check it out, because football isn't rational. Everybody thinks that decisions go against their club. But for you as Wolverhampton Wanderers fans to think that there's some sort of conspiracy against you and the Premier League want Wolverhampton Wanderers relegated, nobody else thinks that outside Wolves. Nobody else has a problem with Wolves. And what I would say, just to summarize all that and to put a little cherry on top of the cake there, the irony of Wolverhampton Wanderers whinging about play acting and time wasting is staggering. And this isn't just Leeds fans will tell you this. Every other fan in the country will tell you this. Anytime we've played them and Jimenez has gone down holding his face, put 5 or 6 minutes during the game, Conor Cody going down for the ball, hitting him in the face for 4 minutes. This Wolverhampton Wanderers have been the worst at this for years. So that's just my little rant on it, everybody. But yeah, listen, you might agree, you might disagree. But for me, Julian Lopetegui has used the referee to disguise poor decisions and overall a poor performance because they were 3-0 down against the side who were 19th.
Yeah, I mean, that last bit is bang on. I think it's a massive smoke screen they've used. Was it the ref's fault that Jack Harrison was 10 yards out on his own inside 6 minutes? Was it the ref's fault that Luke Ayling had the freedom of Molineux to head it in at the back post? No. Was it the ref's fault that Johnny got absolutely bullied at the back post and then Christensen managed to make Sarr? No. That's 3-0. I don't know where we're going with this. I mean, you're right, Conor, with things you've highlighted with Lee's decisions this year. Think of last year or the year before. I mean, we had goals at Crystal Palace ruled out offside for an arm. We had the Dan James penalties not given at St James's. Every team gets them. Ironically, there was one against Wolves at Molineux. Bamford called offside when he was on, but the lines were drawn right. When we lost 1-0, when Traore hit the crossbar, it bounced down, hit Melier's back and went in. We got beat 1-0 that night, and Bamford had a goal disallowed that night. Was that a conspiracy? No. It is absurd to think that Wolverhampton Wanderers is a conspiracy to get them out of the league.
What a boring conspiracy.
You're telling us next that aliens
We don't want to be harsh. We don't want to be harsh here, but nobody cares about Wolves outside of Wolves. Like nobody.
I wasn't going to say that, but I was going to say you need to be relevant to even care about. I mean, it's just another club.
Yeah. Are the referees making Raul Jimenez not score goals? Are the referees making Traore? So this is the thing about the Traore shirt pull. He had the ball after, and he stopped playing. And then when he restarted playing, he still had the ball. So give me a break. The referee's playing on, so we don't get another stoppage of play where they need to come up with a goal. Like, it's a referee's decision. You cannot then go to VAR and overrule a ref's decision to play on. Like, what?
Can I just jump in again, Gabe? Can I remind you who VAR was? It was David Coote. I mean, if there was ever a referee that hated Leeds as much in his life, it is that guy. Yeah. I've never been to a game where he's been in charge and thought, oh God, we'll get something here. Do you know what I mean? The impartiality of it, and you spot on, Conor. I'll moan, you'll moan, everybody in the comment will moan, other fans moan, everybody moans about the referees. It's always the referee's fault. When you're 3-0 down to a team at home who are 19th, you need to look at yourselves. You need to look at yourselves if you are 3-0 down at home to 19th.
And as well, let's be right. There was a chance earlier on where Traore's running with the ball. Mark Rocker touches his back. He flies over and they get a free kick. It all works in roundabouts, these things. As I say, that first half, when there's a huge shirt pull from Dawson, I believe it is, on Bamford, and it is literally, his shirt's nearly off his back. That is a penalty. So it works in roundabouts. Teams don't get decisions. But the only reason I wanted to highlight this is because we don't do this often. But the last time we went to Molineux, it was the exact same thing. It was all the referee's fault. Leeds are crap. Leeds are still going down. This, that, and the other. Wolves players were, they were fantastic. They shouldn't have got the red cards. Jimenez shouldn't have got sent off for what he did on Melee. That shouldn't have happened. And it's happened again. I just feel like the reason I'm passionate about this as well is because I think a lot of credit is taken off Leeds United. Listen, we weren't our best, but we still put in a performance where we scored 4 goals at Molineux. And for me, not enough credit has been given to Leeds United. All of it from Wolves' end has been put onto the referee. And at the end of the day, you were 3-0 down to a side in 19th who actually played pretty decently and were ruthless when it came to finishing. So at the end of the day, we can't be that bad. I mean, I'm still seeing Wolves fans saying, Leeds are going down, Leeds are crap, this, that, and the other. We can't be that bad. We're what, a point off you, and you've had your run of the season so far. So I just think it's really key to highlight.
Beat them twice.
We've done the double on them. So I think it's key.
If there was a conspiracy, like you say, Conor, Christensen had his head took off by Sarr at Ellen Road on the opening day. There was no penalty. If there was a conspiracy, it's a penalty straight away. Dawson, Wolves manager even knew he should have been off the pitch because they subbed him at half time.
Yeah.
If there was
The only justification for Dawson staying on is you can say that I'm not necessarily sure I believe this, but you can say that, Jack Harrison's loose touch made it more of a 50-50, and fair enough. But like, you couldn't have felt hard done if Dawson got sent off right then and there. So if there is a conspiracy, don't they think they would have taken that opportunity? It's nonsense.
Send him off, yeah. Just send him off, yeah.
Cry those puppy tears at me, Wolves. Good Lord.
There isn't a team in the Premier League who have scored less than Wolves.
Yeah, that's not a referee conspiracy.
They are stinking the place out. They scored 22 goals in 28. They're scoring less than a goal a game.
But just from two other Leeds fans, have you ever seen a reaction post-match like that when it comes to the referees? I'm talking journalists. I'm talking, just the entire fan base literally blaming the referee. Maybe look at yourselves, conceding that many goals to Leeds United at home, who, yes, we're not a great side at all, but, look at yourselves, get your house in order before blaming absolutely everybody else. I just think it's key to note this because we didn't do it last time when we went to Molineux, won 3-2. We were, we couldn't believe it. We were so happy. But the amount of just, and listen, even the one at the end where, the one at the end where there's what's his lad Nunes and he gets red carded by the referee, and Diego Costa is having to grab hold of him, so he's not going at the referee. And I'm like, you're arguing against that. That is not proper conduct. You should not be doing that. You can't be trying to fight the referee, and Diego Costa is holding you back.
It's like the Fulham game. Something's in the water this week.
I've seen people comment about it. Oh, the lino walked backwards into him. He shouldn't be there.
No, he shouldn't be there. He shouldn't have been there.
He actually stood on the pitch. He shouldn't be there at all. Yeah. I mean, is a red card harsh? Probably, but he's giving the ref. And at that point, I think the ref had just thought, I've had enough of you all. And I'm not... Yeah. He's only human. I think if someone had been... I mean, this conspiracy thing, how Lopetegui didn't get a red card, I'll never know.
Oh, well, another one, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it's just...
Do you think Lopetegui's reaction was to try to galvanize his side? I mean, when you think about where they're at in the table, everybody under 12th is in a relegation battle, whether they think so or not. For me, it seemed like such an overreaction. I was like, okay, like for me, this seems performative to some degree. I mean, they're talking about appealing. I mean,
they said they were going to appeal the one on Airline.
That is staggering. The more staggering thing is the referee was close to that challenge, and he had to rely on VAR. Yeah. To send that's not good from Salisbury at all. That should have been a straight red.
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
Should, so.
That's again, clear and obvious.
If it was a conspiracy and they're all blaming Michael Salisbury, he'd have sent him off straight away, not give him a yellow. I mean,
on another day, that's a Luke Ayling broken leg. It really is. It really is. And Jack Harrison as well. You look at Jack Harrison, that first one. And listen, I know a lot of people might say it's not. It is a stamp on his shin. And Harrison, as he said at halftime, he had to have stitches. His leg is battered.
Dawson's an experienced player. Like he's seen like positions and tackles and scenarios like that a lot. He knows when momentum's going to take you into a player, when you can pull out of a move. Like he's not an idiot, But
I just think it was key to bring that up because I don't think enough light has been shone on Leeds United for scoring 4 goals at Wolves. I think a lot of it's been shone on. Just that corruption and everybody being against Wolves and everybody wanting to see Wolves down to the Championship, which I mean, I have no feeling to Wolves whatsoever, and I don't want to see them down.
I don't want them down there. We win every time we go. I want to stay in the Premier League. I want to go to Luke Ayling Arena every season.
The Luke Ayling Arena. But yeah, I just love the fact it's the same celebration again. But anyway,
just to round that bit up nicely, I mean...
Yeah. I needed that, by the way. I needed that vent. Yeah. I needed that vent.
We can see the catharsis.
People have their own sources of how they get reaction to games and pundits and what have you. I've not seen anybody condemn any of the decisions other than Wolves fans.
The first I saw was Match of the Day where, we know he's not an esteemed pundit, but Ashley Williams, a defender, was looking at all of it and just said, I don't know why Wolves feel aggrieved. I thought the ref got it spot on, to be honest. And Dion Dublin was on there as well, and he didn't challenge him, to be honest. So it seems every analyst and every person as said, there's a certain journalist was saying from the Wolverhampton side, has said that, that it was a shocking referee's performance. And yeah, at parts he did lose control, but I feel like it was very in the Wolves camp where they thought it was just the worst game ever known to man, and everybody's against Wolves.
Conor, the live commentary, I don't know what you guys got over there, but here in America, the live commentary on
Oh,
I couldn't believe the guy. What's the name of the guy doing
Dave
color
Phillips.
commentating?
Dave
Yes.
Phillips.
So literally every 5 seconds he'd be like, "Well, if that's a foul, how come it's not a foul on Rodrigo? Not Rodrigo. Sorry, on Firpo." Like 97th minute, he's like, "They should have called that penalty in the first half." I couldn't believe it. He brought it up 7 times.
He's an ex-Nottingham Forest and Huddersfield player. End of sentence.
I mean, I've had streams. I've had streams in the Championship, and I won't tell you how I got those streams in the Championship, but it would be on the the Championship side's TV. So I remember Luton Town was, I don't know if you remember, but Luton Town was awful when Leeds won their 2-1 and Bamford scored. He hated Bamford, and he was giving it a bit. It's normally ex-players who are on the co-coms basically, and this was what this Dave Phillips was. But I've never heard anything like that. I've never heard anything like that. That was
disgraceful.
Gabe, do you know what that was? That was unprofessional.
Because
you've got to keep if you're commentating on a game, you've got to have a level, even if you do support
Conor,
a team.
it happened in the first 10 minutes of the match too.
Yeah.
So like he brought it up in the 97th minute. 87 minutes later, let it go.
I like it. And do you know why I like it? He's an ex-Forest. He's ex-Forest. He's obviously in a relegation battle. He's obviously got Forest at heart. You look at his tweets, it's all about Forest. He's worried. He's worried that Leeds are going to get away from it, and he's worried that Forest are falling like a stone.
And they're in it. They are in it.
They're in the thick of it. And I mean, Gunnar Mark in the comments has said about Wolves, about how bad we are, and I heard one fan saying it's like conceded Crawley Town, blah blah blah. Win our game in hand, which is against Forest at home, we go above them.
This is it. And
so they need to look at themselves. They need to look at themselves.
Yeah. They've had a massive upturn in Lopetegui as well, and still they're only a point up against Leeds United, who are like playing Crawley Town apparently. So listen,
goal difference is better. We can go above them on points with our game in hand. I mean, our game in hand can take us to 12.
And our goal differential might matter, Brownie. I know you said it. Goal differential rarely matters, but this season it might. Have you ever seen anything like this year?
This is a freak of a year. So I do agree that goal difference this year. I mean, by the end, next time we play, it's going to be the end of March, early April. When going into April, have no team been cut adrift? I can never remember it. It is bonkers. So this year, it really could come down to a good goal difference. And you look at Leicester, they've got a good goal difference. We have, I say good, better than the other tripe that's down there. Right. I mean, but yeah, I just think, I said it at the start of the season, I said it a couple of weeks ago, and I'm sticking with it. Southampton, Bournemouth, and Forest are the 3 that drop for me.
I think it's key, and this is me to bring a big sour note on everything. But I'm really happy with what's going on at the minute. I actually think a lot of people are looking not properly digesting the Brighton result and how good that was to get that point. I think that is so that point against a team like that and how they performed against Leeds, and what they've done since was a massive point. And I just think that what he's doing is very, very good at the minute. I don't think. Listen, I agree. We said at the start, there's no chance we are suddenly miles better. We're not. It's obvious, but we've got a structure right now, and I think he knows what he's doing. He's pragmatic, which I don't think Jesse was. And now for me, I think it's key to note that we're not out of it at all. We're 2 points off the drop. We're still not out of it. But I in my head, and I know Brownie, you were a little bit different, but I do think you were slumping a little bit to what I was thinking not long ago. And Gabe, I think you were more on my level. I was at a point before Javi came in where I thought this was just done. I thought it was too late. I thought, if it all felt like it was curling in on Leeds United and it was coming to get us. It was discourse in the boardroom. There was problems with the 49ers off the pitch. Are they going to invest? They're not going to invest. Managerial appointment was a joke. We went in January and invested for another manager. So I think now we've actually been given hope. And I think that's the big thing about it.
I wasn't slumping towards it. If we'd have still had Jesse Marsh in charge, I think we're rock bottom now. It was only heading one way. And I think everybody, even the biggest Jesse Marsh fan, can agree that it was just not working.
Oh, no, they don't agree. They're still on Twitter.
I just think, how many games have we had now without him? 6? And someone will probably correct me, but I think we took 8 points. We took 8 points.
7, I think. Is it 7?
No, because we got one under Scooby-Doo.
That's right.
Oh, we did,
Old
yeah.
Trafford, yeah. So
Two
we
draws,
took
2
8
wins.
points in 6 games since he left. Would he have got 8 points out of them? I mean, nobody knows, but it was heading one way. But I think you're absolutely bang on that. I think the win at Wolves emphasises how good a point that one at Brighton was. I mean, Brighton's game in hands can take them, Champions League, touching Champions League, or even into it. I think the thing that clouded us last week was the good win for Everton, the good win for Bournemouth. It just made our point feel not that great. But again, I've said it last week and I'll say it again. Since Javi Gracia took over, nobody in that bottom 9 has taken more points than Leeds. And if that continues that way, then we're absolutely safe as houses.
I feel positive because we got a win away.
Yeah.
Because we cannot just there aren't a whole lot of winnable fixtures outside of Ellen Road left for us here. And my concern is that if our away record is so woeful and we're not so good at Ellen Road that we can just count on, oh, that's a win. Yeah. I mean, for me, we still need to, in order for me to feel good about survival or more than 50-50 about survival, I think we need to beat Forest at home and we need to beat Crystal Palace at home. Both those matches are winnable matches. If we don't win those, I'm going to be very concerned. That said, I have an indicator that we might actually now, because we went away to a difficult ground against an opponent that was higher on the table than us, who aren't easy to play, who have a good manager, and ground out a win in a match that we weren't particularly good in. We didn't play well, so that makes me feel good. Like, well, if we can get a result when we don't play well, we're going to play well at Ellen Road. Crystal Palace just sacked Patrick Vieira and don't have a manager yet. They may bring back Roy Hodgson, who, by the way, looked very tired.
Jesse Marsh is available if you want him. Listen, I think
I'll send you his interview when he gets the job.
I think you're right, Gabe. Nah, well, do it at night time because it'll send me to sleep. I think you're right. I think in the next 6 games, 4 of them are Ellen Road. 4 out of the next 6 are Ellen Road, and I think that's massive. I think the Palace and Forest games are huge. That 2 games, then you look more draw somewhere. I think it becomes, but April's massive. Ellen Road can, like Everton last year, Goodison Park kept them up. It did, and I think it will do it again this year. I think Goodison Park will keep them up. So when they move grounds, that's them down, isn't it? No, I'm joking.
No, I don't think. I think Everton. I've just seen Mike in the chat. I think Everton will just have enough. To be honest, they seem to be doing the Everton thing at the end of each season.
Leicester will have enough. I think we'll have enough. I think West Ham, they should have enough.
We've just got to pick up enough points before that last 4, because that last 4 is not looking good. So we need to pick up points, and I think that's a big thing.
I gotta say, if I'm looking at those last 4, I don't think Newcastle have looked great, and I think that the Spurs are a weird team.
West Ham as well. West Ham are in there as well.
Yeah, so I think that there are points to be gotten, but like if I'm going to come here and not feel like we're on the edge of disaster, be going out of my mind again, I would like for us to beat. And I do think it's necessary, right? Otherwise, you would, if we can't beat those 2 teams at home, you wouldn't bet on us to win the other winnable
I still think it's going to be a tall task, Gabe, and I'm not being negative there. I genuinely just believe,
it's going to be it's not easy. I'm not saying it's going to be simple.
I genuinely believe in the Premier League. You going, and this is what you. I'm sorry, Gabe. But you winning 3 games out of 4 in the Premier League, no matter what level you are at.
Have we won 2 in a row all season?
No, we haven't.
Teams in the Premier League find a way to do that, right? So,
no, we have won 2 in a row. Liverpool and Bournemouth. I think, was that 2 in a row?
Somewhere Jesse has a twinkle in his eye.
Saved him there, yeah.
But we have to do it, right? And if we're gonna, because we had other fixtures that were winnable.
Yeah,
we didn't win all of them. Like at some point, again, if we cannot string 2 home games in a row, we probably don't deserve to be in the division.
I think the start of April we'll start to see a couple of teams breaking away.
As in, what do you mean? Like breaking like 19th, 20th, or breaking like staying away from
breaking a little, because obviously at the minute it's been 2 points here, 1 point there. The gap between relegation and the other teams. I just think some of the teams at the beginning of April have games that they can. I mean, when we come back after the international break, I think there's 6 of the bottom 9 that are playing each other. Some of them have got to get points. So I don't know if people have a points tally in mind that they think we need to get to, but we sit on 26 points, and between now and the end of the season, I'd like to think in 11 games we can pick up 11 points. And I think that would see us just about home.
I think because it's so tight, I would prefer to. This isn't a contradiction to your point. It's, I guess, an agreement plus one. I would prefer to win as many matches as. I mean, this sounds stupid. Of course, we all would, but like, if I think we're just going to be nervous down to the wire if we can't beat a Vieira-less Crystal Palace and a Nottingham Forest who have the worst goal differential in the division. Or is it the second? Could be the first or worst second to Southampton. I don't remember. But Nottingham Forest they had their purple patch. I think they flattered to deceive. I wouldn't be surprised if they're in a relegation spot after next week. But
I think Forest are the ones that will join Southampton and Bournemouth. I mean, they've got obviously with all the talk from Wolves, they've got Forest Wolves next. I think it's West Ham Southampton on the same game week. So when we've been to Arsenal, the picture could change again because some of them teams below us are going to get points. So we are going to drop places unless we get some at Highbury. But I remember looking at Forest's fixtures, and I think they come to us. They've got Man United. They've got Brighton. They've got tough games. Chelsea's still in there. Arsenal.
The wild cards for me, Brownie. I know what Conor thinks about this. He disagrees with me completely. But the wild cards in this relegation scrap for me are Leicester, Palace, and West Ham. And here's why. Because there's talk every week about Brendan Rodgers losing his job. Same thing, although West Ham does seem to have backed David Moyes, and I think they'll be all right. And Crystal Palace, again, just to reference Roy Hodgson, seems to be the only manager they're really interested in bringing in. He didn't do particularly well last couple seasons. He's a pretty tired guy. Bad clubs find a way to over-administrate themselves into failure. And so those are the wild cards. I'm not saying I tip them to go down, but if for some reason Leicester decide to sack Brendan Rodgers with 10 matches left to go in the season or what have you, they could very well go down. There are a lot of teams in that category. So anything could happen. Those teams could also win a couple games on the bounce and be right out of here. So, I think the only way for us to really go forward is to win our damn fixtures. Because who knows what's going to go with these teams.
This whole happy feeling could change dramatically come the middle of April if the games don't go our way. But our last four wins have come when we've been sat in the bottom 3. So that tells me that we've got some bollocks. When we're up against it, we've got what we need. We can dig deep and we can get results. I mean, going to Brentford on the last day, needing to win, we went and won. So when it comes to it,
isn't it now though?
But even this season, our last 4 wins have been when we've been sat in the bottom 3. So when we're up against it, we've dug out results. So
that's true.
I just
true.
think,
to your point about going to Anfield, right? I mean, whether it was playing for March or not, I mean, there was a lot of chatter around this being a fulcrum point. They won at Anfield, which I understand isn't quite the notch in the belt that it was in past seasons, but it still is a difficult place to play and a difficult place to win.
I just think we take our medicine at Arsenal, we get something great, but then we really do go into Forest and Palace at home back to back in 4 days, and that is the chance to really put some daylight between us and the teams below us. That could see us on to 32 points with, what would that leave, 8 games left?
I think it's just key with what you said, Brownie, as well. The goal difference been imperative this year. I think it's really key that we don't go to Arsenal and get tonked. We've got to step. Listen, it's just key that we maybe lose. Listen, I think we're all strange things happen in football, but they are on absolute fire at the minute, and they seem to be performing very well against the lowerly sides as well. And putting goals past them. So I think it's just key that, if Leeds are to lose that game, which is probably quite likely, we just don't, we keep the goals down, basically, and just get out there with the small defeat.
I'm worried about the mentality of our players going and losing to Arsenal, because as we have so many confidence players, especially in attacking positions, I'm a little bit worried about that.
It is always tight at Arsenal. It is always tight when we go there.
It is, yeah.
It is always tight. I mean, we've got to go to Man City. That's a different story. It's not always tight when we go there. It's normally a cricket score. But I think I would like them to get past Bayern Munich, because then obviously that's them deeper in the Champions League, and I think their eyes could firmly be on the Champions League come that point. So it'd be nice.
I guess the good thing is, Brownie, as well. I think we play. Forest. Is it Forest? Forest 3 days afterwards. So you're just getting right back on the horse. You're getting right back into the game.
You take your medicine at Arsenal. It is what it is. Get anything, it's a bonus. A bit like Everton. A bit like Everton at Stamford Bridge recently. They got the point. They probably didn't go to Chelsea expecting one. They've got it. It's a great point for them. It's a bonus. And then they move on to their next game. And if it's something we can do, then great. I mean, who would have thought we'd have gone to Old Trafford and got a point? Who would have thought we'd have gone to Anfield and got 3? We've pulled up some good results.
Who'd have thought we'd have gone to Wolves? I know it's different, but they're one of the informed teams at the minute. Who'd have thought we'd have gone there and scored 4?
The only team I don't expect us to even give a game to. Conor, you'll know this team better than us, is Man City. Like, honestly, I feel like I'm watching Vikings every time I watch Aaron Haaland play.
If all of you don't know, I work for the Manchester Evening News and I cover City. They're a cheat code. They're just.
Haaland is burning villages down behind him.
No,
like,
you can't.
It's
no,
terrifying.
You can't even. It's when they. I mean, we're not going to make this all about City, but it's when they listen. It's just when they lose the ball. They just. They give you. You just got nothing. They'll just run after you. There'll be 10 of them running after you, and they're so good off the ball as well. So yeah, I mean, I'm fully expecting, especially with Leeds' errors on the ball. I'm thoroughly expecting. That comes back into our point, right? It comes back into our point of not needing so many points when it comes to the because I think City are second to the last game. We do not want to be going to the Etihad needing points.
Haaland will have 60 goals by then at this rate.
Yeah, he will, yeah.
I mean, we went into this segment of 5 games, and I remember on the show we said, how many points do we want? And I remember saying 7. And we've already got 4.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got Palace and Leicester still to come at Palace and Forest. I mean, Leicester have still got to come to Ellen Road. We've still got to play Bournemouth. There's winnable games there. I think the Arsenal game, the Man City game, Tottenham and Newcastle, they are what they are. If you're telling me we've got Bournemouth, Leicester, Palace and Forest still to play, and we need 3 wins out of 4 of them, then I'm happy. And 3 of them are at Ellen Road as well. So at the minute, I'm sitting okay. We're sitting all right.
We've got the Willie Gnonto of managers too, the ones that our team didn't necessarily want but brought in, has been really good for us.
What were the reverse results? So we've got Palace. We've got
we lost at Palace too.
We lost at Palace. We lost at Leicester when Leicester were bottom.
Yeah.
And we drew. Did we draw?
We beat Bournemouth.
No, sorry, but we've got Forest at home. We've got Palace at home. We've got Leicester. We've lost all those reverse fixtures, haven't we?
Yeah.
Lost all of them.
For win.
So we reverse it round, we equal itself out, and that would see us safe. 3 wins and a draw, 10 points onto what we've got.
If we get that, I'll feel great about us staying up.
Yeah. And for all of those who are even partially defending Jesse Marsh, when I've just read out those games and us losing every single one of them.
Yeah, I mean, and on another note, after what we saw yesterday, it'd be nice. It'd be nice if Mitrovic was banned for 4 games rather than 3, because
that would be fantastic.
The Leeds game.
That's true.
That would be fantastic. Yeah. Gail, I do like Koch. I was just criticizing the passing. I think he's a tremendous defender.
Anyway, we'll leave that there.
Clip it up. Just to finish on, clip it up. I do like Koch.
I'm not sensitive. Clip it up however you want. It's 2023.
Right, so what we need? We need, if someone can be bothered, I want a 1 Leeds or a debrief, probably a debrief actually, a debrief out of context page started on Twitter. We will follow you, we'll promote your content, and I want someone clipping up some of the stupid stuff that we say. And I want you to stick it on Twitter.
Opened up here?
We'll promote it. I'm gonna rate it and we'll promote it. So yeah, nothing too offensive, but there we go. Just some of the funny things we say.
By the way, just on that, on the comments and people watching and stuff, I bumped into a guy that watches called Paul. I was having my breakfast on Saturday morning, and I told him I'm in the Lucky Cafe. So we're going to win today. And what happened? We went and won at Wolves. So he tells me I've got to sit in that cafe every morning. So if you want to chip in, that's fine.
There you go. Yeah, we'll get some of the donations to Brownie's tea. But yeah, guys, we're going to leave it there. It's been an absolute mammoth session. Whenever Leeds United win, we always try to come on and give you a good show. I hope you've enjoyed it. I don't know whether or not, we'll probably get together at some point towards the back end of the international break. Maybe we can talk about Willie Gnonto, who's probably going to tear England up, which should be fun. Should I say that? Fun? No,
we can talk about Brendan Aronson not playing for the USA.
We can, yeah. We can talk about McKennie playing, but we can just talk about there might be things that have developed at Leeds, and we might do something like that. But there will be a debrief back next week as always. But guys,
I'm just laughing, Conor, at the I remember the Brownie Income face scandal.
Oh, unbelievable, unbelievable that was.
That was my first debrief.
Yeah, and what a way to welcome you in.
The best.
But guys, we'll leave it there. Make sure before you leave, you slap a like on the video and get your comments in the section below if you're watching the replay, and just in general as well. I read every single comment, so do that. Guys, thank you so much, and we will see you in a bit. Cheers.